There's a lot of stigma around liquidations.
Yeah, there is.
And insolvencies. I got a lot of
hate.
No, not hate, just a lot of questions about me.
I wouldn't have thought that a liquidation or administration is a reflection of the person.
I think what people are really interested in this day and age, so they don't go down the insolvency path, is how do they grow their business? Because a lot of companies are good at doing this one trick. Now that we're starting to get into this, how do you deal with a director that has too much pride and not enough fucking sense to listen to you?
Well, yeah.
I always feel like I work too hard for what, like you're moving the needle forward in the business, right? And you're like, you fucking, really, it doesn't matter what the fuck you do. And you're like working till midnight, 6 nights a week, and it's still not fucking moving. And then something, you'll just do something, and then suddenly the fucking thing just
pendulum moves.
Yeah, you're like, huh? How do you balance your personal and your business life?
Oh, that's that part, are we? I don't think
we don't have to be.
No. Well, let me just put it this way. I think I was bad at it for a very long time.
Is that why you think you went through, you started this, started another one, you were... Hi all, back again. This is Wojtek from Broadside Lawyers. Okay, you and I go back a long way, and we always keep in touch, and it's Melbourne, it's this, but how you been, buddy? What the fuck's going on?
Last time you and I caught up,
I was in
which was a while ago.
Shit that was going on at the time.
Yeah, I got married to my I'd say my love of my life. I've known her for 20 odd years, but we've only been married for 5. I've had 2 kids.
You've had a bit going on.
Yeah, I've had 2 kids.
You got involved in the Melbourne Storm?
I am involved in the Melbourne Storm, and of course 2 years ago I started Broadside Lawyers with a couple of partners out of Blue Rock.
Your personal brand is really strong.
Oh, is it? Okay, thank you.
Blue Rock days, like, how is that working with your career? Now we'll get into everything we want to talk today, but how is your brand versus the company brand going?
I don't think you can separate the two, to be honest with you. I think since I started Broadside, since we started Broadside, I've pretty much linked my personal brand to the firm's brand.
Yep, as you do.
But funnily enough, you mentioned before, funnily enough that you've mentioned this question, if you asked this question, because one of my good mates, and he started out being a client, Fabian Micheletta from SV Partners, he's always said, law firms aren't a particular brand, it's the lawyers that we deal with. It's the personal brand that is attached to them that we're sort of attracted to. And he said that probably about 10 years ago. It's really resonated with me. So I always thought that if you are going to be a lawyer, you're going to stand out from the crowd, because there's a hell of a lot of us out there.
There's a few. My roommate's one of them.
Yeah, she is.
Fuck.
And so if you're going to stand out, you need to work on a personal brand. So to come back to your question, how does it work between Broadside and Wojtek Randla or Tech, for instance? I don't think I make a conscious decision to separate the two, particularly now, being given that Broadside is effectively a firm that me and a couple of partners started and invested absolutely everything into. Whereas previous roles that I've had, I've either been part of a board, I've managed part of my shareholders. This one here is a little bit more intimate.
This one seems very much you.
Yeah.
This one is, even in the people that you employ, and you're always looking for good people, and we'll get to that. We'll reach out to that. But looking for good people, but people just don't want to work for a company anymore. They want to work, they want to buy into something.
Yeah, they do.
And what I like about your brand is it's easy to find. What do you feel that in your first 2 years of having this one, what's worked out and what hasn't worked out? Like, what you like? Okay, I'm starting this. We've got some partners. We're putting everything into it, and it's going to be this, and it's turned out to be that.
Lucky for me, I've managed a few law firms, and I was hoping in that time that I've ironed out some of the issues that people have starting doing startup law firms. So it's not a question more of whether what's worked and what hasn't worked. Because I think they seem to think that most of the things that we've done at Broadside has worked out. So got the right partners involved, got the right employees under our belt, entered the right sort of practice areas, structured the business correctly, brought on the right type of clients, entered the market properly, timed our run in terms of opening the Sydney office, worked really hard to put a plan together and worked diligently on that plan. So I think a lot of things went right, as opposed to a few things as opposed to trying to decipher what's gone right and wrong. But of course, along the way there have been sort of bumps in the road. And like I said to you before, we had our first departure at Broadside a couple of days ago.
I'm sorry to hear that,
but it was on good grounds. I mean,
mate, if anyone's got a fucking problem with you, they have a problem with humanity.
Yeah,
they're just not nice people.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say.
Well, if they've got a problem with you, they've got a problem with me. What's the difference between Sydney and Melbourne? And people say nothing, but like,
no, there's a lot.
I've got the Sydney office as well, and you're like, ooh.
Okay, so what's the difference between Melbourne and Sydney Broadside? Not much in terms of Broadside. I think we structured Sydney a lot like, or mirrored Sydney a lot to Melbourne.
Yep.
I've got a great managing director there, a managing partner, Matthew Gradich, running the office.
Yep.
7 staff now. We've just hired our second partner in Sydney, so she's to start next week. So I won't mention her name quite yet because I don't know when this podcast is going out.
About a month.
Well, in that case, Sarah is starting with us on Monday.
Yep.
And then I'm flying back up on Thursday of next week to hopefully sign on our third partner in Sydney. But much of the culture and much of the setting and structure in Sydney mirrors what we've done in Melbourne.
Well, but there is one big but.
The way that people conduct themselves and the way that law is practiced in Sydney is very different to Melbourne.
Yeah, and also they follow a different sporting code.
They certainly do, but that's okay for me because it's NRL.
Yeah, it's fine, it's NRL. And, you're very heavily involved with the Melbourne Storm, which again we'll get into. Yeah. But, okay, what services do you specialize? I know what you specialize in, but people watching here have no idea. What do you specialize in?
We're a problem solver, right? So first and foremost, we are a problem solver. And, much like a lot of other firms, we've got some specializations, mainly insolvency, litigation, property, commercial transaction, banking and finance. And so they're the typical sort of practice areas that we specialise in. Most of our practice, though, most of the revenue is generated through our litigation and insolvency practice. That's only because 3 out of the 4 partners sort of come from that specific area. But
that's a good referral pipeline for business as well.
It certainly is. And what we find in the insolvency space is if we've got a couple of banking clients or non-banking clients as well, there's a good symbiosis. There's a good sort of circle of clients that we've got. I know you've had a bad experience.
Oh, no. I as you know, I had Ryan Laurel. It didn't end as well as I wanted to do. So for everyone watching this as well, you and I are going to talk like we're old friends, which we are. But what is insolvency?
My view is insolvency is a measure or a practice that potentially helps businesses or directors of businesses out of a particular sticky situation. Right? That's the holistic view of insolvency.
Safe harbor.
But let's if you're going to bring it down to technical aspects, insolvency simply is when a company can't pay its debts as and when they're due. That's the definition of what insolvency is. Yep. Well, effectively what insolvency can be. But for me, it's a whole lot more. Right? I've been in this business for 20 odd years. I've been managing practice.
There's a lot of different levels to this now as well.
There is a lot of different levels to this now. And my view would be, and I think there's an unfair stigma around insolvency practitioners, particularly around this area of law. But if we can view that area, that market a little bit different, that practice area a little bit different, seeing it as a solution to many of our problems. Now, I'm a director myself, have been director of many, many businesses and have towed that line. I've almost fell off the cliff, almost needed someone to help, absolutely. But if we can just sort of change the way that we look at insolvency practitioners, there's some very talented individuals out there. Now, I understand a lot of people have really bad experiences with insolvency practitioners, but no.
My own odyssey, I had Ryan Laurel sourcing out of Perth. Went bust when I was 36, ran up about 1.1, 1.2 mil.
Yeah.
We got it down in the end and, it took 4 years to sort out. Now, I'll be brutally honest. My insolvent, they treated me perfectly well. Like, no issues. What I had the issue is it took 4 years to sort out.
Sure.
And I was like, it was my,
Can I ask this question?
You can ask me.
Did you have a lawyer involved at the time?
No.
Yeah, well, I think that may have been the problem. Because
it was just me on my own in my mid-30s swimming in Jack Daniels. That's all I had. I had my friend Jack.
And it's not uncommon. A lot of people find themselves in that situation. But the interesting point here is that you didn't have a good lawyer on board, and sometimes that's what that makes the difference, right? Yeah. What we pride ourselves on, particularly in this area of law, is we can come in, assess a situation, cut through all the bullshit.
Yep.
Say to you, this is the insolvency practitioner we want to work with. This is the strategy we want to roll out, and this is how we're going to go about doing it. And I'm going to be there in the background holding your hand. That's what I think would be the key difference, particularly in your circumstances.
Okay, so when I was 36, this is going to give you I had no idea what basically my director duties were when I went bust.
No one invariably does.
You get the paperwork, you sign it, you get that big book.
Absolutely.
And that book goes somewhere.
And I'm guessing the situation was you're stressed, you don't have any help, you're young, you're new to the area. All you can see is there a potential light at the end of the tunnel. If I sign this stack of papers, screw that. I'm not going to get a lawyer involved. It's going to cost me a pocket.
I didn't even get lawyer.
No, but that's what I'm saying. And look,
didn't even know I could get one.
3 or 6 weeks later, what you find yourself is in a situation.
Hell breaks loose.
That ends up being 4 years, right?
Yeah. So what I learned from my own liquidation, and it took me a long time, I had a lot of shame about my liquidation.
And you shouldn't.
Yeah, okay.
I will come back to that.
Yeah,
right?
I had a lot of shame because it was my fault. I should have run the company better. It doesn't matter that I had fucking clients go bust on me. I even refinanced before I went bust because my factoring company at the time, which will say nameless, but you know who you are.
I think I know who they are.
Kicked me out, and I had to go to a second tier funding company, which charged me a higher interest rate. And then I didn't understand that a higher interest rate wasn't reflected in my own costs. So as I regrew the book, thinking I was climbing out of this mess, I was climbing myself further. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, understanding, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't even understand the difference between a balance sheet and a P&L. Now, different these days, but you don't fucking know what you don't know. And what I find with a lot of business owners is, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, they've got financed generally Range Rover Sports or BMW X5s.
Very true.
They're living this massive facade lifestyle. You think everything's great, and there's nothing behind it.
Absolutely.
And then
you see that all the time.
You see the liquidation and you're like, wow.
How did I get myself in that mess?
Well, this pub guy out of Sydney, how the fuck has he gone bust over 1.8 billion?
Well, let me just address the first part about the shame. About the shame part. You shouldn't feel ashamed because, unfortunately, companies going broke is part and parcel of the business and the world that we live in. Okay,
correct.
And believe you me, some of the time it's not at the fault of the directors, not because they weren't diligent enough, not because they were looking at their books often enough. It's because of external factors, COVID being one of them. I had so many COVID measures. Now, do I ever mention that on this podcast? I don't know.
I lost 97% of my business in the first 10 days of COVID. Contract a book and I'm like, oh, fuck.
So coming back to what I said, don't feel ashamed about your business not working. I think it's part of the journey. Knowing yourself, I don't think you meant it. It just sometimes happens. Now, the point I'm trying to make though is when you realise that you're in trouble, it's those next steps that you're in control of which are really important. And the point I made previously, and the point I'm trying to make now is if you can get yourself a team around you, and don't ever worry about asking for help. Putting your hand up and asking for help is extremely important. But secondly, get the right team around you. And I think, going back to another question you asked me, what do we do well at Broadside? We're problem solvers. We'll get around you. We'll hold your hand. We'll get the right team. We'll get the right strategy, and we'll get you out of a hole or a mess or a problem that you think you have a lot easier than you think you might. But don't feel ashamed because everyone gets in that position. And the moment you start feeling shame, you make bad decisions. You start self-loathing. You go into dark places. And trust me, I have, being in this area of law, I see it all the time. I take a lot of phone calls after hours, after midnight, in the mornings, just saying, I can't do this anymore, Tick. I can't get out. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Don't feel like you can't turn to anyone because often, yes, lawyers will be that shoulder, but don't feel ashamed because once you do that and you internalise everything, once you internalise everything, once you start not communicating with your advisors, that's when the problems start.
What I think a lot of people try to do is fix it themselves and then they shit themselves when they get a director penalty notice. Because then that's a little way down the track.
It is.
Now, touch wood, I've never got a director's penalty notice. Okay?
Oh, I have. There you go. Yeah, I have. And you just have to deal with it when it comes up.
What I feel in today's age with technology changing, AI, and all of this, a lot of companies have been caught off guard by the speed of how much people want things now.
Yeah.
They want this car today. They want this piece of equipment tomorrow, today. What do you mean we're going to manufacture it? When do we get it? How do we get it? How do I get it cheaper?
Patience is out the window, right?
Patience is out the window. So people are starting to speed up the way that they do business to maintain
fast food revolution, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I see in my most manufacturing base at the moment is they're very dependent on a team environment, and when that team environment's not there, that's when they seem to get into trouble. I'm actually surprised how many businesses that I deal with, and it's funny, you actually see on an OH level, OH&S, you go to the workshop, you go to how does their workshop, their warehouse look, invest to the rest? And I can always fucking tell a company that's in trouble by the way their warehouses looks, the way, if their staff are happy, if they're not happy, they're engaging with you, or are they running for the fucking hills? How do you help people?
How do I help? Well,
directors, how do you get them from I'm in a fucking shit, I don't have any light to this, to restructuring to move forward?
Yeah. Well, first of all, a lot of times when directors or clients come to us, they really don't know what the issue or the problem is. That's first of all. They don't really identify with what's caused what's dug the hole that they're in. So firstly, what we do is we identify the problem and we isolate it and we figure out how to deal with it. Then we move into strategy mode. Let's have a look at what kind of things that we can implement. What kind of action plans can we put down in order?
What does that look like? What sort of strategy are you talking about? What do we implement here?
We implement. Well, let's say if a company is in financial trouble, it's late on a number of its debts, a number of creditors are banging down on their door. The first issue is to figure out whether, in fact, the company is in a position that it can sort of trade out of its debts. Often that will involve not only a lawyer but also an accountant, maybe a bookkeeper, and some other people in the business that know the finances very well. And if, for instance, you understand that there is a solution to the problem, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, well, then you sort of simply draft up the plan and you implement it. Now, that plan sometimes will include some kind of formal restructure. For people that don't understand what sort of restructures are out there, what have we got? Well, the most common you'll ever hear will be liquidation. So that's when you either creditors or directors put the company into liquidation, ends the company, and effectively the liquidator looks to sell the assets of the business to pay dividend to creditors, right? The other one we get a lot of is administration. So it's a variation to liquidation, but doesn't bring the company to an end. So usually an administrator gets appointed to the company. It works out whether the affairs of the company can be dealt with through an administration. At the end of the administration, either the company's handed back to the directors, or alternatively it's placed into liquidation. The point of the administration is to tie up all the little issues, mainly debts, into one little parcel, so that the company can be dealt with. The new one that's sort of come onto the scene over the last couple of years is small business restructuring. I see that. It was a regime that was implemented sort of during the COVID times or just after COVID times. At the start, everyone was a little bit sceptical about it, but to be honest with you, it's a mechanism that a lot of directors and companies are using, and it was implemented to deal with companies that have debts of less than $1 million. And in circumstances where there's a possible resolution to the company's problems. I've seen a lot of businesses, you see it, like good idea, good product, well executed, but they've got, generally the director's gone through a divorce or there's some external fucking factor, and so many good companies were liquidated that didn't need to be fucking liquidated. Okay, where do you think we're heading with all this? Because obviously Melbourne's been through an interesting time the last 2 years, but I don't see liquidations and restructures through the roof. If anything, it's going the other fucking way at the moment, which confuses me. So it depends on how you look at the statistics. I'll deal with that first part first. The statistics will say to you that both personal insolvencies and corporate insolvencies are coming back to that pre-COVID level, right? So it's not gone up since pre-COVID. Up during COVID, it hasn't gone down. It's sort of plateauing or thereabouts with pre-COVID levels. in my view, the market or the industry has always tending towards making it less process driven, less expensive, and less of there being a stigma involved in the process altogether. So that's why the SBRs are involved. So my view is that although we're a very slow moving market and change is very unusual, but I think that over the next sort of 10 to 15 years, what you'll find is that there'll be a sort of loosening of the laws, loosening of the process, and we'll move towards more of an Americanized system.
There's a lot of stigma around liquidations.
Yeah, there is.
And insolvencies. I got a lot of
hate.
No, not hate, just a lot of questions about me. What did you do?
I wouldn't have thought that a liquidation or administration is a reflection of the person. It might be of their management style.
Okay, so
it
in
might
America,
be of their experience, but
so
not
in America. If you've had a business go bust, it's a badge of honor.
Yeah, okay, I can see why you'd say that.
In Australia, from my experience, if you had a business go bust, you're a scumbag.
Yeah.
Now, that's just my person. I'm not saying people like mine was fucking almost 10 years ago. It was a long fucking time. But I feel that especially young entrepreneurs don't know what they don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And like crypto has hidden a lot of fucking dodgy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Because the margin is so fucking intense on it that it doesn't, like, you know, you don't, it worries me that there's so many people that have made big money with crypto thinking that they're untouchable, leverage that out to God knows what, and the whole thing comes crashing down. And then you're left with
nothing. Ruins people.
Ruins. Yeah, money borrowed on money, borrowed on money, borrowed on money. What do you see with good business practices? Like, what do you see with a good business that may have got themselves into trouble, but with a couple of adjustments and some restructure of debt, they're flying again?
Well, first it's all about education. So has the director or have the leaders learned anything from the process?
Good question.
And so if they have, they'll take on things like, you know, educational pieces, CPDs. Secondly is bring on the right people around them. I think it's really important to have the right people around you, and that's not I'm talking about lawyers and insolvency practitioners. Let's talk about finance managers. Let's talk about internal accounts. Let's talk about managers with experience in their particular field. So once someone's gone through that process and then identified that what their weak spots are, they go about changing those things, and those are two of the main things that I see them doing. 3, sticking to their lane. Too often do I find directors saying, and I'm even guilty of it, Tech, you're great managing law, right? But how about this idea about running an accounting firm? Well, how about this idea about
litigation funding?
Yeah, 100%. And I've run litigation funding before. And great. But I'll be honest with you, and I'll go back to another thing that one of my good mates, Anthony DeLuca from DeLuca Properties, and a client of mine said to me, and I used to always want to be a property developer. Right?
That's the first fucking thing you and I spoke about.
Property developer.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
and mind you, I've looked at so many projects, and I say, I'll become a property developer. And I think at one stage I had a bit of money. I approached Anthony. I think I was running one of the firms earlier on, and I said to him, mate, I've got a bit of cash. Look at this property. Done all the due diligence on it. And he said to me, Tech, I love you like a brother, but mate, you know what? Stick to your lane. You're a good lawyer. And again, just like I did with Fabian, that advice really resonated with me. So since then, I've been very reluctant to veer out of my lane. So coming back to your question, what I find is a lot of directors say, well, I'm really good at this, so if I do that, I'll be just as good at it, and they get themselves into a lot of trouble.
What it comes back to is this thing about starting new shit, especially if it's a founding director. Yeah. They get bored. Fuck, I've been doing this 8 years. Yeah. Like, that guy, I say this all the time, but that's his happy place there. That's his happy place.
I can see why he's happy with this.
He's happy.
He's behind the camera, behind the mic.
Yeah, he's happy, right? But even his experience, he's come out, he's done other things.
Yeah.
And it hasn't fucking worked. And it's cost him a lot of money, right? And he was lucky, a lot of money. Yeah. Same with me. Like, you go, okay, recruitment, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll move into a new area, we'll move into new this, right? And at the end of the day, I guess it's a fine line between evolving the company versus staying in your lane, because your lane can move, right? But I feel like a lot of directors, they get bored. I'm very guarded with my words there because we both have
we've both done that, right? But that's when discipline comes into it, right? And maybe the young you and me never had that discipline.
Having the right partner in your life is a big thing, right?
A huge thing, absolutely.
Because you need that grounding influence to basically call out your bullshit.
Yep.
Because if you don't have that,
but it's not only your partner at home; it's partner in the business.
Yeah,
And I know that you operate,
I've got Rachel
on your own.
Yeah.
In my experience, I'm now around 4 law firms.
Yep.
It's only now at Broadside that I think that I've got the right mix of partners that I can rely on and to keep me on the straight and narrow. Now, of course, yes, I can make all the big decisions on my own. But I never choose to, and I don't want to, and I'd rather have the input of my solid partners, even though some of them have, one's almost half my age, but that it's really important to have them there.
But they bring in a different input.
Absolutely.
As in, you're looking at a situation, right? And you go, okay, I've done this, but suddenly they'll say something and you'll look at it and go, how come I never saw that?
Or, funnily enough, they go, say, Tech, do you remember telling me the story about 20 years ago when you did that? Well, I'm learning from your mistakes and experiences. Don't do that again, Tech.
Let's not just do that again. What's different about Broadside? What's different?
Oh, well, look.
Because you're different.
I am different, but I am the oldest in the firm.
You're my age, calm down.
Well, I am though, except for one other staff, but I won't mention who that is. What's different about Broadside? One is we're a young partnership.
Yep.
2, we've got an understanding about where we're going over the next 5 years in terms of what our revenue and financial targets are and our presence along the East Coast and potentially in Singapore as well. So just for your sort of listeners and viewers, Broadside is looking to expand into Brisbane or Gold Coast next year, which we wanted to do it this year, but we're sort of running out of time.
You're one of many people that are in Brisbane seems to be going off like a frog in a sock at the moment.
Well, it's 6 years, 8 years to the Olympics. I see there being a lot of investment and a lot of business up there. And in my view, if you're going to be a boutique national firm or a boutique insolvency, litigation and banking finance firm, you have to have an East Coast presence. And you mentioned, I did mention that Sydney and Melbourne are very much different in terms of the way that it practices, but it's one and the same office effectively.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're serious about doing law and running a practice, you need to be present in Sydney and Melbourne. Brisbane's that one step further, but I think that we've got the know-how to do it.
But again, it comes down to your personal brand.
Yeah, very true.
Like you're not just you're very good at what you do, right? So you're creating your own orbit. So you're getting a lot of people wanting to work for you because of you.
I think it's a little bit more than just me. And
I'll come back to your brand, the whole presence.
I'll come back to the question. I think this is where you're getting at. Broadside lets young partners or young wannabe partners to be themselves, express themselves, drive their practice in their own way with the safety net of an older bloke like me behind them. And that's what I think sets us apart from other law firms, particularly in this area. What we're finding is that a lot of partners are leaving mid-tier and top-tier firms. They're setting up on their own, but they're bringing that old style of practice with them. And God, if when I was my experience as a lawyer has been very, very different for a lot of others. Never really had a mentor until about a couple of years ago. Never really had someone showing me the ropes. And one thing that I would absolutely hate that is if this great lawyer from a top tier, mid-tier firm would come into their own practice, bring on a young lawyer, and then bring all that culture and all the same practices. That type. The young lawyers don't want that anymore. They do not. They want to feel free to express themselves. They want to bring exciting new matters and clients to the firm. They want a partner or they want a mentor that is not necessarily sitting on their shoulders, counting every cent and every minute that they're doing anything. They want to have an ability to develop themselves, and that's what I think at Broadside stands out more than anything else. That we are that kind of breeding ground for young developing.
Do you
lawyers.
find your clients find it easier to deal with you because of that culture?
Well, I would say that some of them do, particularly with some of the younger lawyers that we've got on the firm. I'm very much someone that would say to, let's say, one of my younger lawyers, here's a client, here's a contact, why don't you go develop the relationship? The reason why I do that is because, one, I've got my own way that I want to manage my clients, and I've got some clients that I've had for 20 odd years, and they're used to me being a particular way. But if you get a new client with a new lawyer and they're developing the relationship together, that is so much better than me imposing myself and my process. And therefore, they'll come back. I would have thought that they'll come back to the firm a little bit more than they would if we treated it the other way.
Is it more important to have the culture, your golden rules of how to manage that culture, or is it more important to adapt your business to what you know works? So what I'm saying is, like, you've got a culture, right? You're managing this, right? And you want young lawyers, and they want it differently, and they want this. But then you kind of know better, so you're kind of having to appease them and also understand what the market wants.
I think you have to strike a balance. I think you have to bring a little bit of the old with the new, right? So if, for instance, yes, we've got some golden rules at Broadside. We take pride in what our culture is like, but we don't necessarily impose it on everyone. We would rather people buy into it and say, well, if I take my practices and my experiences and mix that with Broadside's, well, that fosters a great sort of beginning. And it will attract clients and it will make it for a better experience. So yes, I think it's a bit of balance. You need a bit of rules, a bit of old culture, a bit of me saying this is how things are done, but then you need the young breed to come in and say, hey, look, I think there's a better way of doing things. Tech, this is how I would do it. And you got to put your ego aside then.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Putting your ego aside, right? We're in this new rule, sorry, James, of AI.
Yeah.
And AI this and AI that.
That was
and
your first question and the questions you sent through to me.
Exactly. And I want to, it's an important one because I see AI popping up in law all the time.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck are we like? The liability, the whole this, the whole that. There was that guy in the States who used an AI lawyer in a webinar.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good it's a really good topic, AI in the law, and it's something that I'm looking into more and more. So part of the evolution of Broadside is not only obviously the biggest piece in the Broadside group is the law firm. We've got two other phases that we're looking to expand the brand into. Won't say about the second phase, but the third phase is in technology. Right, I think if you're going to be any type of business these days, you need to be investing a little bit of time in technology, right? Don't have to invest all your revenue, don't have to invest 50% of it, but you need to start looking how you can bring technology into your practices to make it a lot better. This is where our AI comes into.
Okay.
Yeah. But go, ask a question.
Do you see AI getting to a point with junior lawyers for junior matters?
Yes.
Where you because
not
everyone, low revenue, low touch, but needs a lawyer to sign it off.
Oh, look, let me answer that by giving you an example. I use AI, I use ChatGPT. I don't use it in doing submissions. I don't use it in preparing court documents. I'm not that stupid.
I'm sure some
I sent you an article today saying, have a read of this. Fortuitously, it came out about a week ago before sitting down and doing this podcast, where a lawyer's in fact done that. But I think AI's got and I use it to draft certain paragraphs. I use it to rephrase certain sentences. There are some really good tools in the market at the moment that I've looked into. Our Leap, which is our practice management, has got a great AI administrative tool that sort of sorts out our emails. I think it's Court ID or Matter ID. I think it's Court ID.
Well, but the software's there.
But how much of it do we use it? Well, we try and embrace as much as we possibly can without whilst flirting against the sort of the rules, but not necessarily guiding us to where we want to get to. So the courts have made it abundantly clear they don't want AI to appear in any sort of important document that's being filed in particular cases. Again, example in the family law court and the criminal court cases in that article that I sent through to you, the authors of the submissions used AI to write the entire submissions, and what ended up happening, the AI, whatever the tool referenced
the wrong,
well, not wrong ones, fabricated case citations. Now, look, if any lawyer is doing
AI just fills in the blank. We can't find something here, so we're just going to fill this in to justify this.
So my view is that if you're doing that, then you're doing it wrong. But if you're looking to use AI to fill in some of the blanks, to fill in some of the holes in any area of law that you're doing, I think that's fine, and I think you need to start embracing it. I think one of the areas that I would like to see AI really go into is in that small claims areas, those easier to crash and bash matters to decide. I know that a couple of startup companies over in the US and in Europe are sort of looking at doing predictive judgment AI technology. I think there's a place for it right there, just to speed up the court processes. You don't want to go into court and you don't want to file proceedings and wait 14, 18, 20 months for your proceedings to be heard because it's clogged up with 1,000 crash and bash cases, right? I think the court system can be, the pressures on the court system can easily be alleviated by introducing these types of AI technology, particularly in predictive judgment circumstances where people put in their facts of the case. It spits out a sort of decision based on data and historical judgments, and then the parties simply agree to take that as a judgment or appeal it if they don't. That's where I think it sort of fits in, and I think I'm well, but not in sort of substantive cases.
Do you think what AI is going to do to law is what Uber similarly did to the taxi industry?
No, I don't think it's going to do that. Okay. Firstly, lawyers are our industry.
I'm talking about more delivery of the law, not so much.
No, I don't, because I think Uber's really smashed that area.
Yeah.
I don't think the law is progressive enough is probably the wrong word to say, but I think it's slower moving.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it needs more of a human touch. Okay. So and let me qualify that. There is a lot of things that I see in court that you wouldn't hear in a judgment that sort of sways someone's opinion or a judge's opinion, and it should. You don't get that from robotics. You don't get that from AI. You don't get AI can't determine that by reading a witness statement as opposed to me seeing in a witness box. There's a lot of that scenario which I don't think you can take away. That human element you can't take away from, because in the end, whether you like it or not, when someone's in court, it's really personal to them.
Oh fuck yeah!
As opposed to maybe getting your tie on Friday.
Hence why I took my liquidation so fucking personally. So
I don't think you can rely entirely on that aspect, on AI or technology to deliver you the result that you think you want. I think you need a human element or a human touch. But where technology and AI can help is in those fluffy parts, those edges, right? Delivering the result that I get for you as a lawyer much faster as opposed to just going to court.
I love that. I mean, I think because there's so much discussion around this, people don't really know what the fuck the facts are, right? And especially when they're in court and they take it so personally, where you're just saying we're just in court, it's thing. How do you balance? And I believe is a bit like with this. How do you balance your personal and your business life?
Oh, we're up to that part, are we? I don't think
we don't have to be.
No. Well, let me just put it this way. I think I was bad at it for a very long time.
Is that why you think you went through? You started another one. You were.
Oh, maybe. I think. Let's get deep and personal here. I think I.
Fuck yeah.
My relationship suffered for a very long time up until probably the time I started at Blue Rock, and then of course when I started Broadside. And one of the reasons personally I started Broadside is to buy back some time so that I can devote to my family and kids. So I don't think I did it right for a very, very long time, particularly around sort of that late 20s, mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s time. Funnily enough, the great leveler here is kids, right? So I had my first child, Sebastian, at 8 years ago, Hunter at 5 years ago. And I probably wasn't around for Sebastian in his first 3 years. I was travelling a lot. So I came to a quick resolution that when Hunter came around, something about the way that I conduct myself professionally needs to change. And sometimes that requires changing law firms or starting up your own business.
Yeah, 100%.
The most important part, I think, is, and I can't stress this enough, is that I used to try and do everything on my own. Realizing that
I have also sinned.
Yeah, realizing that when you've got good partners on board, when you've got trustworthy partners, ones that sort of got your best interest in hand, letting go does wonders for balancing your professional and your personal life.
And you go letting go, right? and you're getting you up to the point to let go, right? And then you let go, and then you've got your little voice screaming at you and stuff, and then it's actually okay. And then you're and then you ask them, when is this going to fuck up? Like, when is this going to go bang?
And it probably will, right?
Yes and no, but I've learned, right, in my management style that it's bad, and people think I'm too fucking laid back. I have very high expectations with my staff.
Yeah.
This is what we need to achieve.
Yeah.
Can you achieve this, yes or no? Right. I will do everything in my power to make sure you achieve that goal. Is there anything else you need? And I ask that on a daily basis. What do you need from me today?
I think I'm exactly the same as you, mate. So,
and what fucking pisses me off when people say I don't need anything and then they fucking
need something.
And then I'm like, I asked you this morning if you needed something and you went, nah, you're good. It's because they feel like they don't feel worthy of your time, or they don't feel worthy that. Or I'm finding more psychology is coming more into my management style than ever before.
And it probably should, and it's a reflection of our age. But management of people is one thing that I think is critical to becoming a good lawyer at any stage, right? At any stage of your career. And I probably was one of those that started really early. I started managing since the age of 30. I started managing guys that are a lot older than me with a lot more experience, and as a 30-year-old managing 3 50-year-olds.
You know what I'm going to say this?
Yeah.
You have big balls, sir.
Oh, thank you.
And you know, you're a bit like me. You start mutinies in companies, so management goes, you know what? Why don't we just make him a manager and we'll control this sort of, what's happening here? Because you're so fucking ambitious, right?
I am, but coming back to the point, investing in your management and your staff and understanding what drives them, I think, is critical, important as a lawyer these days, because it helps you with your clients, it helps you with your matters, it helps with your time. That being said, of course, always, and I always tell my staff, one, take time out for yourself, right? Yep. This is not the be all and end all. I don't want you dying at your keyboard, because that's not good for anyone. No. Two is put your hand up when you need help.
Yeah,
I think it's really critical and really important. Gone are the days where you're siloed in a cubicle or an office and you're expected to work 20 hours a day and not raise an issue because you'll be lambasted by it. That gone are those days. But
and funny enough, with the information that's available with this, they probably have got a better idea. Than what you think. That's what absolutely. I find. Yeah,
but I think critical to becoming a good lawyer again is understanding what your management style is, understanding your staff, understanding what drives them, what makes them a person. I've invested a lot of time, and I haven't got it right every single time.
No, but who has?
I would say I've managed over 100 people in my
10,
more. 15, and I haven't got it right every single time, but I think I've gotten better every time or every year that's gone by. But critical to Broadside success is the leadership group, including myself, is understanding what makes people tick and really getting involved. And I personally I love seeing young lawyers thrive, or young professionals thrive under me. And that's probably one of the sort of points that I make, some differentiating points that sort of comes to light when lawyers are considering coming working for me, is, well, can tech take my career or take me to that next level? And hopefully at some stage during the interview or some stage during the first, I can show them that I can.
What I think more staff need to do is start posting on behalf of their company. Now, what I mean by that...
that is a great point. It's a bear bug of mine.
Just fucking pick up your phone and talk about it. Don't talk about a particular case or a particular thing, but talk about how you're feeling about this, because people go, I'm shy or I'm this. What fucking bugs me in my own firm is people, in order to be successful, and this is what's changed since COVID, we have to be a brand. Like, you have to be a brand, I have to be a brand. You and me together, we're merging our brands together, right? And they'll go, people are watching, I had no idea these two fucking knew each other. Even the way that we do business is becoming different, right? And our management styles. And there's a lot to take on as a director, right? Director liabilities, industrial manslaughter. That's the one for me with manufacturing. I don't think you're going to have industrial manslaughter, but maybe I don't know if I don't know if another lawyer goes head to head with another lawyer. I don't fucking know. That's interesting.
No, we often do.
Yeah. I'm well aware, sir. How are you running and growing a law firm in this age of social media and personal brand, and YouTube's now a search engine?
Good question. Look, you know what? I when it comes to me in technology, I stop at the remote control to my TV.
Bullshit.
No, but saying that, I'm pretty good on LinkedIn.
You're posting on fucking LinkedIn every fucking day.
It's funny that you mentioned before where you said, I wish my staff did more posting than I did. That's one of the things that I certainly would love from my Broadsides. In fact, one of my partners, Tom Carroll, I'm on his back all the time. He's just spent 2 days at the Cathedral Lodge up 200 k's away at the golf club with the Melbourne Storm, with Ricky Ponting, Tubby Taylor.
And no photos.
No, I'm going to show you something. I know you want to get this for the camera.
Sorry, what was his name?
Tom Carroll. He's a partner.
Tom.
He's an equity partner.
Reading this. I'm coming for you. We're going to do a video together.
So this today, I get this from a crew from the Melbourne. I've got a crew at the Melbourne Storm.
Yes.
And this is just random. Said great couple of days. Sends a photo. And there's a couple of mates of mine, Ricky Ponting, Tubby Taylor, and Matt Tripp, the owner of Melbourne Storm. This is on the golfing trip that Tom Carroll was on.
Love that.
So this is random. One of my mates going, great couple of days, fantastic. Now I told Tom, mate, you're horrible at posting stuff. Make sure you take a lot of photos.
Fuck. Does he need to do one of James's photograph courses on how to take a decent photo?
Now, mind you, right? Like, I love the bloke. Don't get me wrong. I really do. I really enjoy my time with him. I've got so much time. This is the photo he sends me. It's a photo of the golf club. That is it. No people involved. It's not quite what I wanted, Tom. Now, he got on the phone to me today, driving back, and goes, trust me, Tick, I took a lot of photos and we'll do a lot of posts. I'll just think about what I want to say. So hopefully something will come to me over the next few days. Exactly, they don't do it enough. And they're expecting a 45-year-old who hardly touches any social media other than LinkedIn to jump on and do it.
Yeah, but here's what I think, right? I want to curate what I want to discuss. No one gives a fuck. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, they want to know the brand, you, what's going on. Okay, these guys look like they have a lot of fun. They're going to understand my issue.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with people and we're dealing with law and potential issues and other fucking shit, and ASIC and ATO and
the other. I'm glad you sort of raised it, but there is also I think at some stage, particularly in our brand, there's got to be a bit of a maturing of what we do and what we post. Now, It's not going to stop me from posting these great times I have with you, with clients.
Oh man, we're going nuts with this today, James.
But at some stage, I think you do need to put out some material out there that talks to your services rather than to your brand and your personality.
Correct.
And I think, and we've sort of made a conscious decision over the next kind of couple of years that's what we're going to do now. Trust me, it's not going to end. My posting is not going to end, but you're going to see a lot more content build or context specific posting on LinkedIn and things like that.
Okay, so it's horses for courses.
Yes.
Okay, so I had a really interesting person I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn, right? Now, I have a TikTok account for Tab Talks Recruitment, but all it is the shorts from what we put on Instagram, what we put on that, put on TikTok. And he reaches me and says, I've been watching your TikToks for a while. Yeah. I think we should I think I want to work with you. And I'm like, what the it's funny how people engage with you. So I've apparently got a TikTok audience that's different to my Instagram audience, which is different to my LinkedIn audience, which is different to my Facebook audience. And it's the similar content just repurposed, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you told me 3 years ago that you and I would be doing a podcast, my own podcast, and we would be talking about this, I would say you're full of shit.
Right.
But people are sick of being told what to do and what to see.
Yes.
I find it now that people are now engaging with companies. You're getting clients because of what you do with the Melbourne Storm, but not because you're so involved with them or you go there. It's people can synergize or reference that you're just a normal guy.
Yeah, okay, I can see what you say. Absolutely, yeah. And look, whether I've done that deliberately or not, I don't know. But
I think it's just who you are, mate.
I think you do need to personalise your brand a little bit. And yes, I do agree with you that not everyone wants that, you know, three-piece, shiny-looking lawyer who's, you know, went to, you know, had top grades at school and only worked at top-tier firms. They want a grunter. They want someone that they can go to their NRL with. They want someone they can issue pool with. They want someone they can have a drink with and talk their problems over at a bar as opposed to an office. You're 100% right. And whether I've done it deliberately or not through my own sort of LinkedIn posts, I would say that I've sort of put my personal life out. I've posted sometimes with my kids, sometimes with my wife.
Oh, that's a personal thing, man.
And you're right, and it humanises it, and you're 100% right.
Because, especially in the insolvency space, right? You like it ain't that sexy.
No, it's not. It's certainly.
We've got a lot of angry people.
Oh,
you know,
there's a lot of angry people.
If someone hasn't been paid, you know, someone's put their heart and soul into this business, and for whatever reason, it hasn't worked out. Yeah. I mean, prime example, I fucking feel so poorly for the car suppliers to Holden, Ford and Toyota. Yeah, you build an entire business around supplying those powerhouses and overnight, gone. And a lot of those businesses just disappeared, you know, and, you know, external factors, right? So doing the personal brand, doing this, coming on podcasts kind of normalizes what you do. And you talking about it's okay not to feel shame, because you're like, no, you shouldn't feel shame for a business going bust. If you've done things that have contributed to that business going bust, you should feel ashamed about that, but not about the business going bust. You know, if you've, you know, pumped all the money to the Caymans, well,
you know
what I mean.
Right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. And you know, there's a difference. There's difference between a company going bust and a company deliberately going bust.
There's absolutely a huge difference.
Huge fucking difference. And what I want to explain to people today is there are two different types of businesses that go bust. There's ones that just shit happens.
It does, yes.
Shit happens, and then you find ones that
the classic example is that one client ran many restaurants in Melbourne CBD. Yep. Lockdowns happen, all of a sudden doors close, and I felt so sorry. She's done extremely well coming out of the other end, but that's a scenario or a situation where she had a thriving business, a legacy in place, and then all of a sudden, shall I say, maybe some erroneous policies or decisions, all of her businesses have gone bust, and you know, so that's out of.
Are you suggesting that the Victorian government have made decisions?
I wouldn't be suggesting that.
No, I wouldn't be suggesting that either. We love our friends at the Victorian government.
Yes, of course we do.
Well, it's, you know, oh fuck me! Are we going to need to go into witness protection?
Probably we might have to. But then there's the deliberate one. You're right, and then there's probably two categories under deliberate. There's one that deliberately goes into administration and liquidation because that's probably the best course of action to take to not only stop the spiral, but also to secure a better position for all its creditors and employees.
That's fine. That's legit.
But then there's the ones where, they're criminals. There's some people out there that'll do it deliberately and do it over and over and over again. And people are left without their supers, people are left without jobs, people are left without debts being paid.
So I've seen a lot in the last 12 months, because I meet a lot of people in the car community, right?
Yeah.
Man, fleets of cars have been seized in the last 12 months, you know, and you come out and you go, what the fuck is that all about? Like, they're trying to impress that, you know, I feel that, you know, that company that goes bust deliberately, you know, they've moved the assets, they've moved this, and I'm like, and they don't give a fuck about the liquidation.
No, they don't.
You know, and you just see it like they and you know, we could talk about a whole enforcement piece, but like we've only got 2 hours. What do you see is happening in the insolvency space in Melbourne? Melbourne last year wasn't great. Like, you know, the Victorian government really pulled back on their investment because they had no choice because, you know, apparently borrowing $200 billion, which is a great idea. And that, you know, thing from there. So what have you seen and what are you seeing in this space at the moment? Is Melbourne, the economy, back to where it should be? Like, are we...
Oh, look, I'm no economist.
No, I'm not saying that, but
you're probably the last person you should ask about where the state is at.
No. I'm talking from a coalface, from a point of view of people coming through your door.
We had a very bare insolvency market for a good 2 or 3 years, coming from 2020 to 2023.
Because everyone's cashed up fucking Jesus.
But now what we're feeling is that those handouts that we received, there's a lag, there's a period of time or a lag of period of time that's sort of just starting to hit companies now that they can't catch catch up on the ATO payments. They can't catch up on their sort of creditor payments. What we saw, there was a spike of insolvencies for a period of, let's say, 12 or sort of 15 months.
Yep.
That's only because of the lockdown measures that I thought, in my opinion, contributed a fair bit to why the businesses or some of the businesses failed. But now it's sort of coming back to level, and it's the other states that I'm finding there's peak insolvency parts. But in terms of the economy, look, it's difficult for me to say. I think there is a bit more spend out there now. I think people are taking a bit more risks. I see a little bit more startups through our commercial division, our transactional lawyers. We do see some more startups coming through our doors saying, we want to start up a new brand, we want to start up a new company. So we see a bit of that. I still do think that hospitality's horribly been, it's the industry's, I think it's a very difficult industry. All I ever hear from some of my clients is it's hard to start a cafe. It's hard to keep the doors open in the restaurant. I don't know why that is. I'm assuming it's still a bit from the last 5 years. But that being said, I still eat out a lot. There's still a lot of good restaurants out there.
There are the good restaurants, from what I see, are the ones that actually own their property.
Yeah, very true.
And because from what I understand, I know a few people in restaurants and hospo is, as the business trades and, effectively they're making the building more valuable.
Yeah.
And in turn, and then thus in turn increasing their rent because the building's worth more. I think that's where a lot of things are. If you've got a cafe improving the building, why the fuck should they pay for the privilege of improving?
Correct, absolutely.
And I think that's where, not saying greedy landlords, I'm just saying that a cup of coffee is fucking capped at a certain
Bay
price.
Street, Port Melbourne, where I live, greedy landlords. Probably shouldn't be.
You should delete that. Again, we don't want to go into witness protection here or some sort of, new identity.
But you know what?
This could be the last time you're ever seen in public.
That's okay. Yeah. I've been in that situation before. No, but
we're making friends in Melbourne.
But discretionary spend is certainly where I've seen it going down, and a lot of clients do come to me that are in hospitality, are in professional services, where discretionary spend should be up. It's down. People aren't spending it because they don't have it. And fair enough.
But I also see business investment take out mining. So take out WA, take out Queensland with mining investment, right? Business investment is at a 15-year low.
Okay.
Right? Trucks, printers, this.
It just costs more to do business these days.
It's costing more to do business.
There's some uncertainty in the world, of course. I mean, look what's going on in the world. It's just, why would you take a leap of faith, spend a lot of money on a new business, present company excluded,
I'm crazy, mate.
With everything that's going on in the world.
I don't know if you ever heard this, but during COVID, I pissed off my CFO so badly. I figured, okay, I'm going to go back to 2008 battle plan because that's all I knew. GFC, working in London, went back, started a business. Wife broke up with me, got divorced. Hi, Nikki. I hope everything's well. And came back to Australia. But then I went marketing. So I purchased during COVID the HubSpot email marketing suite without telling.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. We use HubSpot. Well, I've used HubSpot once.
I love HubSpot. And then we just doubled down on email marketing and then it bounced back. But, you go back to these game plans. But I have no problem spending money in my business. What I am more
I spend a lot of money on our business. Yeah. Probably when I should.
You know what? I've put down the 12 gauge.
Right.
Yeah, the pump action bang. Okay, let's spend some money here, spend some money here. Actually, fuck it, we'll go spend some money over there. Yeah. And it's like, we've spent all this money and the business you haven't moved the needle.
You haven't tracked your return on investment.
Yeah, and I've done that around this. I've spent I probably spent stupid money on my CRM, just getting the data. But
you're always improving. You're always improving those parts of your business, aren't you? Because I'm the same. Like, don't get me wrong.
Are you going to do an infomercial?
No, probably not.
It's like, I think what people are really interested in this day and age, so they don't go down the insolvency path, is how do they grow their business? Because a lot of companies are good at doing this one trick. But when that one trick's over, like we said with the car industry, they don't know how to pivot into a new area. It's not about but staying in your lane, but understanding that this lane's going to come to a fucking end.
So let's come back to your point about spending money and tracking your return on investment. Like, for instance, the last 2 years with Broadside, we knew we were on a growth trajectory and we were going to spend as much money on marketing as possibly we can. So we backed Melbourne United and we went to the Cox Plate. We backed, obviously, the Melbourne store.
Cox Plate is expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. But we got a good return. But at the same time, so you are spending a lot and you are getting your brand out there. But important to business owners out there, track your investment and see what kind of returns you get. So we do that now. I mean, and I've done that for quite some time. So we'll spend, say, 100K on Melbourne store, 150K on Melbourne. I know I'll get 5 times that back in revenue from clients, so internal referrals, external referrals from the Melbourne store. But I think important, and coming back to your point again, which is, well, I don't want to slide into insolvency because my discretionary spending is up mostly on marketing, and I don't know whether it's working. Track your return. Track your return and put in some fundamental, it's just some simple rudimental processes and exercises where you can track that return.
So what you're saying is know your numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Oh, look. We're having a bit of a banter here. Right? Let's not take away the seriousness of what business and resilience is. Mate, any director needs to know their business. That's business 101. You need to understand what makes your business tick, what the financials look like, whether you've got enough spend for next month to cover your wages, or enough revenue to cover your wages. You need to know that comes as a given. The rest of the stuff that we're talking about, that's the fluffy bits. Yeah. Right? That's 100%.
Now that we're starting to get into this, how do you deal with a director that has too much pride and not enough fucking sense to listen to you?
Well, as a lawyer or as a sort of an advisor, not a lawyer?
Well, as in like...
So is it a client coming to you?
Yeah, so it's a client coming to you saying, we fucked up this and that. And then you go, okay, we need to have a chat about this and this. And it's just...
I'm in the privileged position to say that if you're not going to listen to my advice, you need to go somewhere else and get some of the second opinion. I come from a position where someone's come to me and says, I've got a problem and I need it fixed, but I don't know where to start. So my job is to find out what the problem is, define it, and figure out a solution and strategy. Now, I can always lead the horse to the water, but I can't always make it drink, right? So in those kind of circumstances, if a director is stubborn and says, you know what, no, I'm not doing it this way, Tech. Well, you either try and find another solution or they need to get another second opinion. Unfortunately, that's the area we're in. But lucky for you, at Broadside, we've got some really talented lawyers. So if the first solution or strategy doesn't work, we'll have a second, we'll have a third, we'll have a fourth. We'll get you to where you need to be and get you comfortable around the strategy, whether you like it or not.
I love that. I think that's very solid advice. And talking from someone who has been through one of these is they're not fun.
No.
I wish I had someone like you at the time. They're not fun and you get asked a lot of direct questions. And
you don't know the answers to them, do you?
You don't know the answers and they're recorded. And
well, that's because you didn't have your lawyer.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But they'll bring you up and like, you know, they're recorded and they're used against you. And, you know, I'm saying, and at the end, mine all worked out fine. And, you know, we put it down to shit happens. But I was sitting there at the end of 4 years going,
why did it take 4 years?
The company traded 3 years and 9 months.
Right, so your liquidation was a little bit more than the
correct.
Period,
and then and they just put it down to they were busy.
So can I stress this point again?
Yes.
So to your listeners and your viewers
and yours
and mine, in circumstances where you're in a tricky situation with your company, and it looks like you need a formal restructuring a strategy or solution, please don't go in it alone, and please don't go see an IP by yourself, especially if you don't understand the process. Pick up the phone, give us a call, or give your lawyer a call, give your advisor a call that's experienced this area, because I know you won't see the benefit immediately, and the only thing that you're probably thinking about is dollar signs ticking back. Oh, I'm spending this much on a lawyer per hour, because that's what people think, trust me. But in the long run, you're going to be better off, because our job is to make sure that you get through that process and get out on the other end as best as you possibly can.
What we'll do
and get over your ego
is we will link all your contact details
absolutely.
To this podcast. So guys, if you're watching this going, fuck, please reach out sooner rather than later, because with my own advice, right, is, and this is what fucking killed me, right? You wouldn't hear from them for 6 months. You would not hear a peep. Fuck, do they still? And then suddenly you'll get an email or a phone call. But the thing is, you're still thinking about it you know, for that whole fucking time. And then I used to ring them, ask them for an update.
Yeah.
And they never called me back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, the difference between the IP and insolvent practitioner lawyer is we'll pick up the phone on your behalf and say, where is this at? But even before that, we'll get you a strategy where you can see where the ending is, where the light at the end of the tunnel is, right? So that's the difference.
Are you seeing a common thread or a common set of insolvency links at the moment where they're all in the same sector?
It's cash flow and it's hospitality and it's so it's cash flow. Cash flow is often the issue with a lot of companies. They don't quite have. Well, say for instance in Broadside, before we even started putting the structure together, we put a budget, a resilient budget and forecast, a cash flow forecast together over 5 years. We know what's coming in, when it's coming in. If it doesn't, what we're going to do about it.
Yep.
I believe that a lot of businesses don't do that. I don't think a lot of a lot of directors do that. They see an opportunity, they get really excited about it, which is fair enough. They should.
Yeah.
They get really excited and they jump into the business opportunity without doing that kind of that level of due diligence. That's number one. To answer your second question, which was around what kind of markets, well, hospitality, I think, is a difficult one still.
Construction?
Construction, and that's the next one I was going to say. Construction is another one that's copped it pretty hard. I've got a lot of construction clients. I have nursed a few of them through liquidation. In construction, I think it's even more personal because you're dealing with people's homes.
Correct.
And I have had creditors, I've had homeowners calling me up on the other side and taking me to task and why are you representing or what's going on. I understand it. I feel your pain. I'm a homeowner myself. If halfway through my builder goes bust and I'm told, well, tough titty, right? You need to go. I would feel the same way. It's difficult. But yeah, those are the two industries that I'm feeling.
Okay, so I was a construction recruiter and that's what got me into trouble previously. I think the whole construction model is fucking flawed.
It is, yeah.
Competitive tendering is the devil's work. Also,
cash management and cash payment.
LDs.
Yeah.
Are used by strategic people to not pay on dummy. I mean, what I think, this is just my personal view, you can agree or disagree with it. I think a construction used to be cost plus. Mm-hmm. Something costs this much and we all need to make money on it, so we're going to put a margin on it and we're all good. But if you're a builder and you've got a workforce and you've got a lot of fixed costs, you need to get that build so you can feed your people.
Correct.
So you're going to tender on that job lower and you're going to hope to try to pick it up on
another job, and that's right in the circle that keeps going and going
until eventually it all comes to a crashing fucking end. And then it's like, how did this building get away with this? It's not that they got away with this. It's just they ran out of chairs for musical chairs.
Yeah, good way.
And the music stopped, or the tide went out. And we found out who was fucked and who was not. I'm against personal managed super for balances under $2 million.
Okay.
Or at least $1 million. I think
that's because people are a lot of people are financially unaware, and
correct.
They're financially illiterate, and then all of a sudden transferring super of $1 million into personal super where they're managing. Oh my God, I couldn't think of anything worse.
Because of the compliance costs.
Not the compliance costs. It's just about managing your own money. It's an account that you've got access to.
Correct.
You can just pull cash out of it.
So we get a lot of self-managed super funds bounce the funds back to us because the fund's not compliant.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That drives us fucking. But what I'm getting at is, and I'm not talking about financial literacy and you don't know what you don't know. I mean, I just feel that there's protections in place for a reason, and like private borrowing of superannuation into some project or this or constructive new ways to finance builds and stuff. This is what I feel like we all get into fucking. How did this super fund just go bust? 2 of them last month.
A couple months ago.
Yeah. Right. How the fuck how is that allowed to happen?
Oh, I don't know how it's allowed to happen. I don't profess to be a superannuation
but
I understand where you're coming from, and I share some of the same views. There should be some mechanisms and controls put down by either our parliamentarians or our government to enable people to make the right decisions and not to find themselves in any trouble.
God, we are having a fucking good old rant today.
I'm glad I'm enjoying it.
Good.
My first podcast, I'm really enjoying it.
You know what? We tried. I came up with.
I do watch a lot of your podcasts.
Oh, there's going to be a couple of deuces coming out at the moment. I'm like, fuck.
And I've got my wife looking at them as well, and now my mum's looking. My mum's following you as well. Now my mum's a treat, right? So she never watched a day of sport in her life, but she's the biggest NRL tragic now
because of the stop. And she's got buy-in. Yeah. She's bought in. This is my son's team,
and she never listened to any podcasts until you. So there you go.
And she's going to be watching Joe Rogan next.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
so. I tell you where this is. Yeah. YouTube is now the second largest search engine in the world.
Okay.
But I need a lawyer.
Yes.
I need an insolvency guy.
Yes.
They're going to look at your videos and go, I want to work with this guy.
I hope so.
But that's what happens now. People need social proof.
So one difference, though, one thing I want to sort of stress, I hope not coming because I was on a podcast or because I was on YouTube. I want them to come to us because they think they can get a better result, or they can genuinely connect with us to get a better result.
I would love to say yes.
But it's probably not. I know. I understand.
Okay, so I started podcasting because I needed a different outlet, right? But also I wanted to grow TRS differently.
Yes, and I like what you've done. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Like James and I work together well. We've really developed a style, and it's taken me the first year was a bit clunky. I don't know if you watched The Simpsons.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. So it's the first couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's like we started off like classic Krusty.
Right.
With a talk show and with this and that, and now we've kind of moved into this. What I want to talk about now, right, is we've got a lot of government bodies that we all report to, whether on a state level or a federal level. And it always comes down to something triggering something that will trigger an insolvency, whether there's an ATO debt or if there's a payroll tax debt or whether there is a wind-up order or something like that. If you were managing insolvency, if your job was to overhaul the insolvency law in Australia, if it was your job, what would you change and what would you keep? Just hypothetically. Guys, this is a hypothetical. This is just hypothetical.
No, he's trying to get me in trouble.
I'm not trying to get you in fucking trouble, but at the end of the day, right?
What would I change?
Using someone like you bolts on a service and a cost, right? Now, I look at that as an investment in protecting me.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly like a private health insurance policy.
So I won't say what I think I'll change it to, but I think what I would change is the cost and the length of the process, because they're the number one and number two reasons why people don't like the insolvency industry at all. So if we can come up with better processes and more cost-effective processes, I think you get more buy-in from the public. Now, I don't know what the answer is.
You know what? Until you said then, I didn't even recognise that I didn't even have legal representation at my liquidation.
Yeah.
And but it's so fucking common. But the thought process didn't even...
So perhaps let's work on that, right?
Yeah.
Let's say in an ideal world, if you are going to appoint an insolvency practitioner, let's say the law says you need to go see a lawyer to get some advice on it first.
Okay.
That might cure some of the issues a lot of people have with the process. I mean, I'm thinking totally outside the box, and that will never be a law because no one ever wants to put a law where you have to spend money on a lawyer. I'm assuming that's the case.
No, but at the end of the day, right, they look at it like, I think what you're saying is they look at it more like a public health system, right? When it's...
But the number two, the first and second problems that we need to fix is time in the process, and also the cost. And I think those are the two key markers that need to change.
What I would like to discuss with you now is we're going to come out of this very good conversation. Insolvency. Do you believe in having a circle of influence? Now, what I mean by that is
I do.
Mentors, circle of influence, what makes up, what do you get out of it, what do you contribute?
All right. So if you're talking about me personally, yes.
I'm talking, I have a circle of influence. I can mention I have Ian Hyman as part of mine.
Ian Hyman as in the evaluator?
Yes.
Yes. Been to many of his functions.
I've had dinner at his house, mate.
Oh, very good.
He was cooking. So Ian's a good mate of mine. Christoph's family is part of mine. Right. I'm not saying that, but like I get different things from different people.
So I'm probably a little bit different. I think I mentioned in my notes earlier from the podcast that I didn't really have any mentors.
Me neither.
Until recently.
Yeah.
So I must admit that I've got a mentor that I'm really fond of that provides me with good financial advice and is a go-to person when I make key decisions about the business.
100%.
But probably the two people that I go to for any type of advice is mum and dad still, right? Mum and dad.
Love that.
Mum and dad. So quick background about mum and dad. Both immigrants from Poland. I came here to Australia when I was 3. Dad was a magistrate/lawyer in Poland, came here, worked in factories, had a sound set of principles with mum, and all they wanted to do, and they gave up a lot to give us the opportunities, or give me the opportunities that I've received. And the one thing that he's always had was sound advice. This is my dad and my mum.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest with you. When I've got an issue and a problem, probably the first people I go to would be my mum and dad, whether that's business related or not.
No, but sometimes the problem isn't business related, but it's affecting a business outcome.
Yeah. Now going out further outside that circle, and I know my wife will be listening to this, but should I listen a lot to my wife as well? She might not think that. And she might think...
I'm not here to give relationship advice.
No. It's got nothing to do with the relationship part.
No.
She might think that often or not, I do not listen to the things she say, but if she's listening to this and she watches this, trust me, a lot of the stuff that you say absolutely resonates with me. And I do give things a second thought with her sort of sitting on my shoulder. And I think it's important, particularly when you've got sort of a young family and you do have a partner or a wife or whatever the case may be, that they are part of your inner circle. Then stepping it outside a little further than that, it's my business partners. And whether they're 29, 30, 35, 55, 105, there's a reason why they're my partners in the business. And unless you're going to trust them with going to them for many things, unless you're not going to trust them, then you need to bring them in. You need to make them part of your circle. So I put a lot of trust in my partners in the business.
Is that also about the time in the market that you've been with these other firms? You recognise what you see in other partners that you might be lacking in, that you bring them in and say, I think you and I would work together because of this reason.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I just love that one of your guys took photos
of the outside of the cabin.
I love that.
Specifically,
what are you talking about? Took lots of photos.
Well, look, I'll send you the photos that he apparently does have on his phone, but he didn't send me some.
No, it's fine. But what I'm getting at is I'm feeling like the branding and the circle of influence is really important because...
Can I add one more person?
You can add whatever the fuck you want.
You got to trust yourself.
You got to back yourself.
100%. Mate, I'm going to be honest with you. There'd be part of the successes and the failures that I had in my life has got a lot to do with me not backing my gut, my instinct, or alternatively getting it wrong. I think it is absolutely instinctual and critical and crucial if you're running a business or any part of your life. That if you can't back yourself, find a way to do it. I think it's really important. So that's I thought I'd just interject and say that.
I tell you what I struggled on really early on in my business ownership career. Self-sabotage and imposter syndrome.
I think we all suffered from that at one stage.
I'm like, fuck. Everyone thinks I got my shit together. I didn't.
I don't.
And some days I wake up in the morning going, fuck.
Or what, you haven't gone to sleep yet, and you think you've laid awake in bed thinking, how the hell have I done this? What am I doing? What's my next steps? Am I going to survive next week? Absolutely. Everyone goes through that.
And you compare yourself to other business owners. And
absolutely you do.
It's like...
But isn't that also a good thing? It drives you a little bit.
It is. I always feel like I work too hard for you're moving the needle forward in the business, right? And you're you fucking really, it doesn't matter what the fuck you do. And you're working till midnight, 6 nights a week, and it's still not fucking moving. And then you'll just do something, and then suddenly the fucking thing just...
Pendulum moves.
Yeah, you're like... Huh? And then you look at it, you go into 6 years ago. You go into Scooby-Doo mode. I don't know what I just did. And everyone's going, oh, that's a really smart move. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. And inside you're going, it was a complete fucking, I've thought long and hard about AI, recruitment, also crypto. I'm not into crypto, but I kind of believe that we're going to soon take it as a payment form, or people
I
want to
think
start,
you're right, 100%.
you know, how do I implement that into my business? Well, shit, I'm implementing
the banks
something.
need to get their stuff in. They need to
you
get
know
theirs
what? I think
all sorted before that.
I think a PayPal or a Stripe solution is going to,
you're right.
or even an Apple Pay solution is going to jump them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize this, but I thought I used to be a big FPOS sort of payment guy. Now I'm just a PayPal guy.
All right, because it's cheaper.
But it's easier. It's more convenient. Yeah. I can just go bang, PayPal, all my profiles there.
I do half of my payments on PayPal.
But this is what I'm getting at. Like, you don't even think about it, right?
No.
So what I'm thinking is, like, how do you implement new technology in your business? How do I do this? How do I stay relevant? How do I do this? And then you're waking up in the middle of the fucking night, and then you're like, fuck. Like,
and I suppose that's where your circle of influences
become
really important, right?
Yeah.
And the most immediate of the ones that are available to most immediately is my wife, because I wake up to her every morning, or try to anyway, if I'm not just that.
Yeah.
2 is my mum and dad, who live down the road, and 3 who my mentor and business partners, who are just in the next suburb, or I'll see them the next day or the next working day.
Yeah, that's exactly what
you need to be able to lean on them. You have to be able to lean on them, and you have to let yourself lean on them.
But
I know it's like, oh shit, if I do that, I'm going to expose myself. I'm going to leave myself vulnerable. But isn't that part of the risk and the fun and the reason why we get up in the morning, is being able to wander into this part and say, I don't know what's going to hit me next, but I've got enough people around me that I think it's going to be a success. I know that's what drives me sometimes.
The one that I get a lot right is, and you might get this from long-term clients of the firm, right? Like the clients followed you from firm to firm for whatever reason. You advise this, and they're asking you questions that you would think that they would have sorted out. Now, what I mean by that is,
I've got a particular client, absolutely, that does it all the time.
How the fuck have you got there with?
I have no doubt why. Con Cockinos, one of my favourite clients, one of my very first liquidators.
I know who you're talking about.
Con is a very, very good friend of mine.
Hi, Con, if you're watching.
Hi, Con. He's a very good friend of mine, but also a client, and he was my first client that I work with at a liquidator level. Now, he still calls me every single sort of time when he's got a sort of a question. I go, mate, you know the answer to do this. I think what it is that because you've become so familiar and we've become such great sort of working colleagues, that it's just become second nature. And instead of trying to figure it out on your own, he just picks up the phone. And I do this as well to other clients. Like, I've got a lot of friends who own other firms in different practices. Family lawyers, personal injury lawyers, property lawyers. I give them a call. I could find the answer easily myself. I could get a couple of juniors to do it. I spend a whole week.
It's nice to have that holding hand service, that concierge service, that like, come this way. And what people don't understand is you do this for a living. They do this for a living, right? So, I could potentially service my own car, but I don't. Yeah. Because I trust it to a level of
I wouldn't
people.
know where to start. I don't know where to leave that.
But it's more like I've always been taught to pay professionals well.
Yes.
Pay them well. Don't question their invoices. Pay. Whether you agree with it or not, pay it.
But it also it's a testament to the relationship you built over the years with these individuals, that their first instinct is to pick up the phone and give you a call. And I pride myself a lot on that. And I think, I haven't got it right every single time, but I think I've got it right along a lot of times when my client says, Tech, I think I know the answer to this, but you know what? I need to bounce this off you, or bounce this off someone in your office. And I actually take quite pride in that, because I think that's a testament to the effort and the time that we've put in the relationship to conjure what we've got.
That is awesome. What I'd like to talk to you about is giving back to your staff.
Yes.
The next generation is coming through. We have a weird link with the staff. One of my ex-carpenters is now one of your lawyers. And, you want to see people succeed.
Yeah.
You've recently had someone leave. It's their time to leave. How do you pass on to the next generation? Because you've got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, okay. So it's a good question, and I'm going to answer it this way. So recently I was up in Sydney and just working out of the Sydney office, and my managing partner goes to me, how do you get over this mental barrier of trusting people with your clients? Lawyers have trust issues.
No shit.
Oh,
I live with
horrible issues, right? And you get it a lot, like especially sort of in other firms, you'll get, well, I don't want you speaking to my client because he's my client or she's my client. And in the circumstances, I need to be there. That's more of a trust issue than a sort of control, sort of getting the advice right kind of issue. So that's what I said to Matthew. I go, look, I've never been any different. I've always been able to share my client base, my network with people under me because, one, I think it's the most effective and easiest way to bring people through the ranks. I think if you can't trust your employees or your colleagues with your clients, then you shouldn't be in business or any event or that shouldn't work. That's number one.
You should bring that up. With AI,
yes,
you can get any client anywhere by prompting the right questions.
Yes.
So you need to learn to trust that your clients think, but also it's about you instilling in them in the core values that you need to treat that client.
Correct.
And that's where I think a lot of people go wrong.
Yeah.
They don't tell them. I don't know. People always think,
And look, and the other thing with sort of junior lawyers or sort of junior partners, if they're not going to get a start by me sharing my networks and my clients with them, they're never going to get a start. Full stop. And I've never been that sort of possessive. Yes, again, it opens me up to disappointment. Yes, it opens me up to certain clients leaving me. But to be honest with you, if I hadn't been that way over the last 15 or 20 years, then I would have never got to where I am now. I would have never met the people that I have met and work for me or work with me now. And I probably wouldn't be as happy. I don't want to...
Peace.
And that's what I think. And look, and I think from a strategic perspective, the more people you have working with you where your clients trust them, the broader your portfolio of clients is going to be.
We've spoken about you can't be everything to everyone and you can't be everywhere.
That's right.
You've got multiple offices.
Yep.
And Brisbane's a long way from Melbourne the last time I checked.
That's why I wouldn't dare run it on my own. You'll have to find somebody, we'll have to find somebody in Brisbane that knows the local landscape, understands the practice areas, has got already made networks, buys into the Broadside, and under the circumstances, wants to develop a brand with you in that particular area. You need to trust that person with your brand and vice versa. They need to trust their clients with you. That's how I run.
So you're going to open Brisbane next year? That's the plan?
That is the plan so far, yeah.
Okay. What are you going to be looking for in the staff for Brisbane?
Well, look, to be honest with you, I mean, we haven't planned it all out. Although we wanted to sort of open in Brisbane at the end of this year, time is just not on our side. What I think effective solution was, or a good strategy would be for Brisbane, is to find someone locally, find a couple of directors who want to join a bigger brand, want some support, someone that's sort of got anywhere between 10 or 15 years experience, got a bit of a crew behind them. Obviously, I would like them to work in the same spaces as us, or same practice areas as us. But crucially, I think, is what I mentioned before. They want to be part of a bigger brand. They want to grow. And I think that's what we'll be looking for up in Brisbane. I
find obviously there's a lot going on in Brisbane. There's big investment. Yeah. There's lots of government spending. Seems to be a lot of people moving there. There's a lot of
the weather's beautiful. The Olympics is on there in 6 years' time, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah. I know my parents want to move up to Queensland. I think every Victorian wanted to move up to Queensland at one stage over the last 5 years.
You know what? Last time I was in Burleigh Head, half the cars up there were plated Victorian.
Yeah, that's right. So I can see the attraction.
I think that, but obviously with investment, I think comes insolvency.
Yes.
It seems to be just part of the whole natural cycle of
Well, the good thing about Brisbane and Queensland is the solvencies aren't as high as they are in the southern states. So our view would be, although insolvency and litigation would be a big part of the practice up in Queensland, we do want to sort of branch out a little bit into estate planning, a bit of property. So I think those are the niche areas up in Queensland that if you were going to start a firm, those are the areas that you'd be looking at. I thought I'd sort of make that point.
Well, if you're looking for work in the insolvency space in Brisbane, reach out.
Yeah, let me know. If you are a lawyer, or you're a couple of lawyers who've been sort of running their own shop for a number of years, realise that it's harder than they first thought. Realise that you need capital injection and some manpower in order to develop and push your brand, but you'd rather do it with some help and to buy into another brand. Let me know. I'm sure my details will be available.
You're really big about backing events,
yes,
functions, building a community. Tell me about your Melbourne Storm involvement.
I'm excited because whilst filming this, we're in the prelim final. We're waiting for the winner out of Sharks and the Raiders.
Yep.
They're playing tomorrow night. Now, my son and I got a bet on for tomorrow night's game. It's $10 and the cost of a pizza. He's gone for the Sharkies and I've gone for the Raiders. So it's hard for me not to get excited this time of year because we were favourites to win the premiership. I think we still probably are amongst the top 2 or 3 to take it out this year. And also, I love the club. So whenever someone mentions the Melbourne Storm, it's very easy for me to talk about it. But let's start at the very beginning. I'm an immigrant from Poland. My first love has always been football or soccer.
Football.
And let's call it football. And that's what I played for a good part of my life. And I still love it to today. I did like my AFL, and not that I don't like it now, but I'm a supporter, and there's not much to sort of
You've had a rough 10 years.
Yeah, we have. I still remember the good old 90s. I remember listening to the Essendon beat West Coast come back from 50 or 60 points down at Waverley, whatever the case, or whatever it was, years and years ago. I remember the 2000 final. Or the 2000 year where we only lost once, I think, the Western Bulldogs. So I really liked Essendon up until about the year 2000, 2001. But funnily enough, as I was studying, and if you may remember, the 2 finals were on the same weekend back in the day. So the NRL final and the AFL grand final on the same day. You had Saturday football, and you had Sunday NRL. And whilst you're studying, personally, when I was studying, I always loved to have things on. Whether it's the radio, the TV, whatever the case may be, I needed a distraction from my work to actually get my work done. So I used to start watching this game NRL, and I sort of fell in love with it. But it wasn't the actual game, the season that I fell in love with. It was the State of Origin. So for a good part of sort of 2000, 2010, I loved watching the State of Origin. Now, I don't know whether you've been to the State of Origin.
Once or twice, yeah.
It is a fantastic spectacle. I loved it. I think it's a great clash of athletes. I think the game itself is top notch. So I really got into that. But of course, Melbourne Storm has always been at the top, at the echelon of
forever and a day. Like their brand is huge,
and it's hard not to back that team. So sort of back end of 2000 and 2010, 11, 12, especially when there was the scandal about with Melbourne Storm, I started actually getting to the Storm. They made a couple of finals over a period of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And of course, Essendon was sort of petering out. Obviously, I was still watching my soccer, but I needed some local sport to get into. Yep. So NRL was the game that I sort of that I backed, and Melbourne Storm was the team that I supported. Sort of moving from the 2010 to maybe 2020 time, I started getting into the Melbourne Storm. I started going to the games with my father. Now my dad's...
So it's a big thing, yeah.
But it wasn't until... So I started getting into the games. I bought, I think, my first membership in 2016, 17. But it wasn't until I sort of... It's about 2021, I met Andrew McGuinness. He's a general manager of corporates at Melbourne Storm. He wasn't back then. Who basically came out to Blue Rock and said, "Hey, mate, I'm Andrew. Love to get you involved in what's called the Executive Club." Which is a membership of 60 companies or 60 sponsors that on the corporate side of the Melbourne Storm. It's a brand new thing we're trying out. There's a cost involved, but you get invited to a number of events throughout the year. And I think it would be really good to you. What do you think? And I loved his candour. I loved his approach. So I said, yeah, why the hell not? So I just became an ordinary member of the Executive Club. Obviously, as time sort of evolved and I got to know the club a little bit better, I got to know the Executive Club members. I got to know the CEO, Judge Brodsky. I met one of the owners, or a couple of the owners, including Matt Tripp, who's the chairman, and his son works for us now. That I wanted to get more involved with the Melbourne Storm brand because I saw what that did for my personal brand and I saw what that did for my law firm at the time. So as the times went past and my membership or my commitment to Melbourne Storm evolved, I then the firm became one of the sort of premier presenters or the main sponsors of the Executive Club. The reason why we sort of we back the corporate side of things at Melbourne Storm, obviously we love watching the game, but the corporate side, because it's a run as well as the team that runs out on the Sunday or the Saturday. It's the corporate side of things, the admin side of Melbourne Storm is run so well that you had to be part of it. They come out and and what I mean by that is not only do they put on special events for you, but they get you in touch with the client, with the membership base.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They make time to organise coffees, dinners, lunches with particular sponsors, particular companies that are involved with the club. They really put a huge effort into saying, Tech, you're important to us. You place your investment, your money with Melbourne Storm. We're going to try and get the most return for you by doing this. And by that stage, you're hooked. Hook, line and sinker. You're into the Melbourne Storm.
Yep.
And then, of course, obviously, you still have to work the room a little bit. You have to work the clients and the members. But it's just so much easier when the club's got that buy-in and the club grabs you and takes you on that journey. So we are officially this year with the NEC and Maserati. We are one of the major sponsors of the executive club. I do go to some of the games, but we do take a lot of our clients to the games as well. And obviously my family is involved. My son and my two sons are huge Storm supporters. And I think how I sort of see the Melbourne Storm now is a bit more of a community and a family. I speak to a lot of the corporate members as though they're our friends. We've got chats going on, we've got photos being sent to us. So it's more than just being involved at a sort of a league club. Mm-hmm. It's more of a family now, I would say. And the great thing about it, and I've said this before, and probably people have been part of the Melbourne Storm journey, the corporate team or the corporate members, they actually, when they say they're going to give you a go, when they say, Tech, I'm going to bring my work over to you, they actually do it. They don't just say it. They'll actually say, Tech, I've been to this law firm for 20 years, but you know what? I'm going to give you a go on this particular file, and then it's up to me.
What do you find is coming now from involving your clients, but with the Melbourne Storm, you're involving your staff? What's changed?
Yeah, so at the start, so let's say 5 years ago, it was more a bit about me, a bit about a sort of social media presence. I go to a Melbourne Storm function, I can post about it. People can sort of draw a conclusion that somehow I'm involved with the club. That's great. Now it's a little bit more. Now we've taken more of a return on investment approach. We've retested the concept. We know it works. We know when Broadside sitting next to Storm, there's a bit of gravitas to it. We understand that sort of resonates with people as well, which is great. But now we're taking a bit more approach. We invest a lot more money into the Melbourne Storm, and we're very strategic about who we want to be introduced to, and how we want that introduction to happen. And it works that way, and it works out that way, and it's great from that perspective. And we get introduced to sort of major sponsors like Red Z, NEC obviously shares the podium with us on the executive club. We've spoken to the Atlantic Group. So those are some of the clients that we would otherwise probably not have an introduction to.
And they're helping you grow into Brisbane?
Well, they're not helping me grow
but branding-wise? But
branding-wise, hopefully, Queensland's got a great affinity to Melbourne, because a lot of our players play for the Queensland team. Hopefully they'll say, well, if they're Melbourne supporters, maybe we can help Broadside pitch a flag in Queensland.
I find the barriers to do business interstate is dropping further and further.
Oh, it is, yeah, absolutely.
We've both got links to Perth, that sort of thing, but I kind of feel like you can be a firm now on the east coast of Australia and service it and no one has an issue with it.
I think you need to be. Well, in my market anyway, right? So when I started Broadside, it was always going to be, at the minimum, a three-city office, a firm. It was always going to be Melbourne, always going to be Sydney, and always going to be the Gold Coast or Queensland. I think that the type of clients that we attract and the type of clients we want to continue to attract need a presence along the east coast.
Yep, absolutely.
They say, well, Tech, if I'm going to give you work in Victoria, I need you to service us in Queensland. I certainly need you to service us in Sydney. And I think that if you have those type of ambitions, you need to be able to sort of put that foot forward and be able to expand into those cities. And it's actually just as like one firm, acting as one firm.
I feel the way that you promote the Storm, that you promote promote yourself, it's all linked together, right? And one is not like one certain thing, but like I just don't know any other firm doing what you're doing at the moment.
Well, right? I hope that Storm and I know they're loyal, they would not let another firm in. Firstly, because I've invested a lot of time in their brand and vice versa, and I think the loyalty is there, and there's a good commitment, a good combination between the two. But yeah, look, I've made it personal. With specifically with Broadside, it's important to me that you understand how genuine I am about this and the people that have supported me along the way. This is not another law firm for me. This is now sort of, I hope, my career at Broadside, right? And
you will, if you want.
For that to resonate with people, you've got to see genuineness, and that's with everything that comes with Broadside. That's my involvement in the Melbourne Storm. That's my involvement with each of my staff members developing their careers. That's my involvement with particular professional groups. It needs to be seamless and it needs to be seen as one for it to be genuine. And I hope that's what I brought to the table with particularly with Melbourne Storm and Broadside.
If I interviewed your staff,
yeah.
Okay, without you there.
Yes.
And I asked them about your management style.
Funny that you mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would they say about you?
Oh, look, I'm going to be honest with you. So when you threw me those topics a couple of weeks ago, I was going to ask Clara to send out a questionnaire saying something along the lines of, if you were going to summarise text management style in 3 words or 5 words.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What would you say? Now, I was about to press the button on that, and I didn't.
You worried about what was going to come back?
I wasn't more so worried. It was more so that it's not that I don't care what they've got to say, because I do. I deeply care. I think that's what's come across in this interview, that I deeply care about the people.
100%.
But it's, after 20 years of doing this, I think my management style speaks more to my personality and the way that I sort of fit around my people, my staff, more than anything. And whether or not, and regardless of what they said in that questionnaire, I don't think I would have changed too much. But coming back to your question, I think what I would hope my staff or my work colleagues would say is that he's passionate, he's personable, he lets you take a risk without feeling that you're going to fall if you fail or if you take a misstep. And he's like a big brother. I can go to him for anything, with anything, and he'll attempt to resolve. And finally, I do what I say, and I put a lot into that. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to take you somewhere, I'm going to take you somewhere onto a point in your career, I generally do it, and I hope that's what they say.
I'm going to add one more.
Yeah, okay.
Genuine.
Yeah, thank you.
I meet a lot of business owners, especially through podcasting and through TRS client base, and you know the ones like this. He's talking to me about like this. You just look at the staff, and you know that there's just fucking problems here, and like you genuinely like. You know good people, right? And I've been selling people 25 years, so you meet a lot of people, right? And it's just like the way that you run your firms, right? Your past firm hasn't been anywhere near what it was when you were there.
Yeah.
Okay, they're still around, doing well.
Yep.
Okay, but at the end of the day, I see you more. I don't like it's you have this energy, this sort of you have your own orbit, like people you come to. So like. And you also know what you're looking for in your staff. Yeah. I know that you don't pull the trigger on staff straight away.
No,
you're like,
never.
You got to prove that you're...
I can't. Look, there are certain circumstances where you do need to pull the trigger, 100%. There are certain situations where, unfortunately, your hand is forced and you need to pull the trigger very quickly. Otherwise, you're going to isolate other staff. I'm not going to talk about that, but I can't give up on someone straight away, and I think that's part of my fabric. I like to give everyone the next chance, the very last chance to prove themselves if they need to prove themselves. I think that's the only way that I can be. I'm very rarely just given up straight away. A lot of people say that I'm too trustworthy sometimes, but I'll come back to what I made a point about half an hour ago, which is. I don't know how to be any other way, and if I was any other way, I probably wouldn't get to be where I am now. Alternatively, I wouldn't have met the people that I did.
It's not that you're not too trustworthy, because you work in the insolvency space. You've seen it all, mate.
Yeah,
you know, when you can read someone like that. It's not so much, I'm too trusting. You want to see the good in everyone, right? And you hope that their common value and their core values align with yours, and that's maybe where it fucking goes wrong.
But you know what? The other thing is, which probably we haven't touched on, is I do have a plan B, C, D, E. I've gone through life often not having that. So if something doesn't work out, I often know how I'm going to react, which allows me to be a little bit more flexible with my first action.
But that comes from hindsight.
Yeah, correct.
And being on this rock longer and understand that patterns of behaviour repeat themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because I often find myself caught up thinking, well, does that person know that if they do that or they react in this particular way, I know what my reaction's going to be. I know why.
Oh, you know what's going to happen. You just wait for the call. I'm like, okay.
But look, coming back to people, for me, it's important to be able to develop that trust, develop that sort of relationship where trust is at the centre of it, because I don't know how to be any different, one. And number two is, I think it's the fastest way that you can develop your business. I think instilling the trust, the responsibility, the obligations, and the confidence in them to be able to do the things that they don't think they can do is the fastest way you're going to get to your business from A to Z.
Do you think that's why some directors get into an insolvency space, because they've lost the connection to the direction of where the company's going?
I'm going to be honest with you.
I love it.
There's a lot of businesses that I know where directors have done exactly that. They've been... They haven't forged a relationship. They haven't thought about their succession planning. They haven't thought about what the next 10 years are going to look like. And they've isolated themselves from the rest of the business and the rest of the staff. And employees, they can smell that. They can sense that. And once they've done that, one foot's out the door already. So I think you need to open yourself up. But once that's happened, right, and your business is starting to head south, it's very hard to get that back. And hence they get themselves into sort of...
Yeah, and then it's a pride thing.
Yeah, I know, it's just me. And I've recently had that. I mean, we were looking at businesses to buy, and often I'll get the business where there's a couple of people at the top who just don't want to let go. They say, no, I can't. This is my clients, and this is the way I do things. And I go, well, that's your problem. That's why your business is doing that and my business is doing that. You're not willing to step away.
I do struggle with stepping away, but it's not so much that. It's more I paid a big legacy cost, so I didn't employ a couple of recruiters left me in 2023 and 2020, and I didn't replace them, thinking maybe I'm just going to wait and see it. And that
momentum killer,
and then I went, and it's probably taken the majority of this year to get the momentum back where I feel confident enough to bring more stuff on. But that's just my own odyssey of business ownership. And I always think of business as like a freight train or an oil tanker or a big ship moving through, right? It takes a lot of momentum to get them moving. Once they're up and running, you can do no wrong. Yeah. But if you don't adjust course accordingly.
You need to feed that beast though. You need to feed it, mate. And that's the one big thing I'm trying to instill in my partners now is once staff attrition's a killer in any business, particularly in professional services, because we sell time. But mate, if you start losing momentum, you stop growing, that's where it's going to end. People smell that. Your employee go, well, this business isn't growing. There's nothing here for me. There's no future. I might as well move on. I might as well move on to something bigger and better. And then the spiral starts. Momentum's a big thing. One of the things that we need to keep up momentum is optics of growth, optics in sort of development, trusting your staff and trusting your partners. I think that's all part of it. But yeah, you're right. Once you start losing that momentum, it's very hard to get it back.
I put it down to momentum, but also going back to the fundamentals. It mind boggles when I talk to some of my clients and they don't have any system to track their clients.
Yeah, okay.
Like, what do you mean? It's what
CRMs and stuff.
They don't even have that. They're running off Excel spreadsheets and Xero or MyOb. And I'm like, how do you? Oh, we just phone rings, do an order.
Yeah, okay.
How do you re-engage? I don't know. I've just literally put AI into our back end at the moment, re-engaging with all clients.
Has it worked?
Or is it working? 3 days.
Okay, so
I'll report back.
Asking you in a couple of months' time.
Ask me in a couple of months, but we've been doing it with candidates for years, where we okay. So in my business, I was a big fan. I still am. I love email marketing.
Yes. Okay.
I love email marketing. Email marketing is the bomb. Problem is the changes in email servers and people getting inundated with email marketing. No longer has.
No. Okay.
It's not even that. It's just they don't engage.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, TRS, yeah, cool. Like, but that's why I started this podcast. That's why I started building my personal brand, because like it's more of a case of having the right engagement tool.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we talk about finding businesses and you know, planning and bringing in and feeding that beast. But I honestly believe this platform right here is stronger than any email marketing campaign.
And I'm gonna say 100%. I've been thinking about doing my own podcast for years.
Talk to this man here.
But this is the point. I never got around to it. And this is my first podcast, mind you. And I'm having
you've come on the best straight away.
I'm having a lot of fun, I must admit.
Yeah, good.
And I'm glad I'm doing it with you.
Yeah, me too, man. Fuck, we go back a long way.
And I think this medium is great, and it's underutilized, and people just got to get over it and try it, right? And whether I do it in the future or not, I don't know. But I do love this medium. I think it's fantastic.
It's more about a medium of like, I'm a normal guy, and I don't want to break James's gear here, but like I'm worried that this thing's going to come. And if it does, I'll just hold it. It's more about putting the human side of who you are forward. Like, I'm a recruiter. I'm putting the same basket as used car salesman. Do you know what? We really should get a used car salesman on, James. We can discuss this basket that we both seem to be in, right. Or real estate agents.
Hey, I'm a lawyer. I'm in a totally different basket.
Yeah, you're in a really different basket.
I've got a basket as well, mate.
You know, but like, you're all, and you know, they think business owners are all about money, or we're all about this. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, we are to an extent. I mean,
but we're about cash flow. We're about wages and
independent freedom, but at the same time, bringing people on the journey. I would have thought.
Oh fuck yeah, man! Like this is my third business, honestly. I had one in the UK that didn't work out because I got divorced. Had Ryan Laurel that ended in a bit of shit. And then I've got TRS. Now, the thing that I've worked out with my odyssey in business ownership and being a director is I'm going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And not beating myself up from that. And the reason why I bring that up is I'm sure you get that director that's just tried everything and it's just not gonna. It doesn't matter what this business is fucked. Either it's going to get $1 million injection of cash, right, and rechange the thing, or it's done.
Well, sometimes businesses are destined for insolvency or restructuring because they just are. They're for a whole range of factors. They got the wrong people at the helm. It's the wrong market. It's the wrong strategy. Not enough details going into planning. It's just going to fail. And I suppose in those circumstances, we just got to step up. Your circle of influencers need to give you some good advice. That's just unfortunate, but that's not every single case, right?
No, I didn't say it was every single. It's just that I feel that a lot of people like the last year or bit in Melbourne, like the easy money, not easy, there was ever easy money there, but there was a lot of it. We talk about momentum, right, and losing momentum. I felt Melbourne lost momentum.
Yeah, okay.
Massive. The train line to the airport got pulled.
Yeah.
A couple other big projects got pulled.
Labour costs gone up.
Projects
started stalling, right? Government's running out of money. We've got a huge debt, no surplus. I understand. You would have felt it 100%. Especially in your area.
Especially in my area. So, but in saying that, I'm seeing a lot of growth in logistics, freight forwarding, a big shift to online. I'm starting to see the one that surprises me that's very flat in Melbourne at the moment is municipal equipment, waste management.
Okay.
With a big push to recycle in Australia because obviously China stopped importing recycle. I'm surprised that industry is not absolutely fucking gangbusters at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
And that the industry is very quiet at the moment. Yeah. So, but it's weird what you see is busy. Like anything to do with 3PL warehousing seems to be crazy. but there's a lot of transport companies going bust at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's interesting. Whilst I'm listening to you talk about that, one thing comes to mind is the directors being able to pivot and change direction in their business, not necessarily changing path, because we said that.
No. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, but pivoting and understanding and reading and understanding the trends. And it's a good point that you make, and that's one of the things I think we sort of answers a number of questions you had before, which is a good director, someone that's really connected to their business, is genuine about what they're doing, will be able to read the trends and then pivot appropriately.
Yeah, because what I'm seeing is there's this monster starting, which is build to rent. Now, Melbourne has embraced build to rent more than anyone else. Now, you look at the construction sector as, fuck, it's a basket case. Housing, you know it's a basket case where you see advertisements on the freeway saying we're backed by so-and-so fund, you know. I don't give a fuck who you're backed by, but you know what?
Yeah, no.
The point.
I'm backed by my parent Chinese company. It's a $100 billion job. Like,
you know the sign I'm talking about.
They're not going to come and bail you out, mate. If that's that's the billboard says.
But that's the billboard, and then we've had a couple of big builders go bust. But like you look at the builders that are in the build to rent space, and you look at what is happening, and I'm not just talking build to rent for, you've got students, you've got people that never want to buy a house, and then you've got retirees. The market is insane, and that's what I'm talking about, seeing new markets. But a director needs to learn to pivot, but at the same time as well, I think what we're trying to say, take out of today, is drop your fucking pride.
Oh yeah.
Come and
take the ego.
Come and book a meeting with you.
Yeah.
Come and see one of your great.
It's a nice segue, to the overall message, which is why I think is. Yeah, if you're a director and you're in trouble, put your hand up, put the ego to one side. They're a good, solid, talented people that you can tap on their shoulder and say, hey, I need some help, and they'll turn around and help you. So, and that whether that's a lawyer, whether it's resourcing, or whether that's an accountant, just don't be afraid to do it.
It's what I find fascinating though is people love the front. Like
as in put up a front.
Put up a front. Right. Everything's fine, everything's good. And then I'm like, okay. I feel the fact that it's more the pride thing, this, that, the illusion. Like, I'm surprised how many houses are for sale in Portsea and Sorrento at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm not, but so what do we do with it? Well, let's
look, the market fundamentally,
brass taxes here. So in circumstances where if you're putting up a front and you're not willing to recognise that there is an issue or a problem that you need to address in your business because, well, look, your ego is going to take a hit, then I think you've got a bigger problem than just financial and directorship issues. I think that's more of a character issue, right? So what I'm saying and what I hope comes across in this podcast is that if you lower your guard just a little bit, it doesn't for men, it's not a hit at your manhood, mate. It's not a hit at your ego. It's just lower it down, ask for some help, and maybe on the other end you'll be able to get something out of it. I think that's really important.
Yeah, because it's I think it comes back to the stigma in Australia, tall poppy syndrome, this, that, whereas it somewhere else is like, it's a badge of honor, or it's shit happens, man. I know there are VC funds out there that won't invest won't back someone unless they've had one failure. Which,
well, that's I'd like to meet those.
I get, man. I get that, but listen, is there anything else that we haven't covered today that you would like to discuss more? Because we're kind of on the descent of this podcast now.
Yeah, I think if we go back to sort of the topics that you and I raised prior to podcast, I think we've nailed those.
I would hope so.
I think I've given Broadside enough of it.
They've had a good pub. They've had a good pub. They've definitely having.
If we are sort of bringing it towards to an end,
I've deliberately not brought up the ATO or ASIC because everyone does when they talk about insolvency, and I think there's
the ATO.
Yeah, I think there's enough podcasts out there about discussion of the ATO.
Oh, mate, the one piece of advice I have, if there's anyone dealing with the ATO, is one, that the ATO has got a process. They very rarely get knocked off that process. So I don't think you're going to pick up a phone and do a deal with them. And two, if you ever do get a notice from the ATO, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. The worst thing you can do is put your head in the sand and think, you know what, I've got this covered. Someone in my circle has got this covered. That's not the case.
There's three things I'm scared of in this world. First is my mother. Two is my CFO, Rachel.
Yes.
And the third is the ATO.
I can see why you're scared of the first two. the ATO, well, yeah.
Oh, it's not so much that. It's more the fact that they have a lot of powers and they have a lot of, and, there's not that I have anything to hide or anything like. It's just like.
Oh, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And I get it because I think that, the ATO can be a scary beast at times, particularly to directors.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I get it. And
but they're very patient people. Like, they're good.
I've got a number of cases. I've got a number of matters at the moment that are in various stages of litigation where I must hand it back to the ATO. They've been very accommodating. They said, yes, Tech, if you need another 3 months or 6 months, or you need to put a response in and you can't do it by this date, they'll give you the extension. But then again, why do we have these huge tax problems? Why do a lot of small businesses have these huge tax
delays?
Delay in payments, handouts, and closures, and that's my view. And I think that we've they've been at the bottom. And so anyway, so that's my view on the ATO.
I love that, sir. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat today.
No, I've really loved it. For my first one, it's been great.
I'm very privileged that it's our first one, and thank you for coming on. And I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you very much. That was appreciated.
You're very welcome, my friend. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Take care.